Welcome to the Innovator series. Today we're talking to Lior Yaari, CEO and co-founder of Grip Security, a company whose mission it is to solve the vast sprawl of SaaS applications in corporations today. Grip Security recently raised 41 million in the Series B, and they've had huge growth the past year, including in many Fortune 500 companies. Lior, thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. If it's okay, I'd love to start at least somewhere at the beginning of your cybersecurity career. Back when you were on the 8200 elite intelligence force of the Israeli Defense Forces. I understand you spent some time as a captain and you were doing security analyst work. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, of course. And you didn't start out as a captain. It maybe was a brief moment at the end. I spent a lot of time going in the ranks. But 8200 is a well-known tag name for CISOs working with Israeli companies. It seems like maybe 90% of Israeli startups were founded by graduates of the unit because it's really an amazing place to work for. Not that the army is always fun, but you're surrounded by amazing people and working on life-changing projects in the
Yeah.
cyberspace for 6, 7 years. I've specifically spent 7 years in the military, which was a life-changing experience for me.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, in the U.S., there is no equivalent where you get 6 years of that kind of training that can prepare you in that way, unless you went for a career in the NSA. But that takes a while to get there. It sounds like just an incredible experience, and the things you learn, I assume, apply to everything you're doing today.
Yeah, obviously being entrenched within the cyber industry definitely helps you both understand the problems that corporations are facing and also build a network that can help you execute on them. I think you can think of 8200 as an entire MIT class being
Yeah.
recruited to the NSA. So they
Wow.
take the best of the best in the technology fields, and they force them to work on, and it's forced. PF is mandatory. Uh,
Yeah.
Being done with passion and love, but still forced to focus on cyber as their career of choice. So all
Yeah.
of those people that can do a lot of really smart things get to focus on cyber. This is why 30% of the tech export of Israel is cyber.
Amazing. And so you did that, and then at some point after that, I understand you chose to flip from actually doing the work to being an investor. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I left the army. I worked for startups for about 2 years, and at some point, I've decided I needed to get into the weeds of startups and how they operate and how they work. And I had the privilege of joining Wild Ventures, one of the biggest cyber investors globally. Invest almost $1 billion into cyber companies, only at the stage stage. They're always the first check. And had the pleasure to join as a CTO the back in when COVID started in 2020.
Yeah. Was your intention in doing that knowing that you were going to start a company one day, or you just wanted to learn the investment side?
It was under the assumption that it wouldn't hurt if that would be the choice. So
Yeah.
it's like maybe possibly one day I want to do this. Let's make
Yeah.
sure I prepared if I am. And it's also a role that helps you understand whether it's something you really want to do, or is it something I wanted to do because of external pressures. All of the cool kids built a startup or something like this.
Right. Right. And I understand, is that where you met your co-founders, Idan Fast and Alon Shankler?
Well, I met Idan and Alon in the army, as many good
Oh,
cyber
okay.
many good cyber teams meet. So Idan and I were drafted together. Alon and I were commanding together. Idan was in the next office. He was a neighbor back then, but we were
Nice.
working together for over 9 years when we founded the company.
Oh, wow. But teams that have worked together for a long time tend to perform better. You just kind of anticipate each other's moves and know each other's strengths. So I'm sure that's helped you guys out quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it definitely did.
Yeah. At what point did you guys decide, or how did it come to be that you're like, you know what, SaaS sprawl, like this is the thing that no one's solving this. We got to do this.
So back in my days at Wild Ventures, I would meet Idan and Alon from time to time and talk to them about my experiences as an investor. One of the things we really wanted to invest in was SaaS security. It was my responsibility
Mm,
as CTO to let the business know what's going to be the next big thing that we see in cyber. And SaaS has this unique structure of it. It's a problem that's definitely not going anywhere. And that was
yeah,
COVID. It's when people realized that SaaS, what it was a growing problem, SaaS is growing 30% year over year in terms of budgets and number of applications. In 2020, people realized that it's not that you can not only contain SaaS within the network. SaaS is not a network problem.
yeah,
You cannot contain the users and the processes out of the net, like in the network. So
right.
there's definitely a need for a change, and every one of so Wild Ventures has almost 150 Fortune 500 CISOs on the advisory network. We're talking to all of them every day, every week on SaaS security ideas because they all cared about it so much. They all didn't like
Yeah,
what we have today and wanted to see something new. And what we saw pretty quickly is that all of those teams that we're thinking of investing in are just not hitting the right spot. They don't understand the challenge the same way that we wanted them to. And I was complaining about it to Alon back in the days, and he
yeah.
said, "Well, let's just do it. If no one else
Wow,
can, let's just do it." So it took us a few weeks. I've left Wild Ventures. They've invested about 2 weeks after I've left, and it ended up working really well.
Incredible. You guys completely switched gears for a third time into this very scary thing to do. It's just up and leave and take this risk. Um, what 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 I love about what you guys built is it's a super unique approach. At least sort of some of the core functionality. This idea that you're tapping into something like the O365 email stream, and very quickly you can see hundreds of SaaS logins, password changes, all sorts of things. Um, what an incredible way to sort of gather that intel. How did you guys sort of come into that? Was that the original concept, or just that were you looking for a way to solve this and that just nailed it?
Yeah, so we're very proud by the fact that we haven't changed the roadmaps significantly since presenting it in our original PowerPoint presentation. But
Nice.
yeah, that was the original intention. And, you know, the challenge with SaaS is that SaaS was always managed as a network problem. You place a proxy, you
Yeah.
place a firewall, and monitor how data goes up and down. But the problem is that it has a tendency to focus on data heavy applications like Dropbox and Box and WeTransfer. These are only a fraction of SaaS applications, and they're not necessarily always the sensitive ones. If you think of
Yeah.
CI/CD applications, cloud applications, IT applitions like GoDaddy or Namecheap that manage your DNS, marketing applications, sales, all of those are heavily sensitive but don't have data that goes into them, not significant data that would flag them as suspicious applications within a CASB.
Yeah.
The second challenge is that even if you block something on the network, you can still access it from your phone. Like the SaaS apps don't
Right.
abide to the rules of the network. And with that, we understood we need to do a shift from SaaS being a network problem to an identity centric one.
Yeah.
Um, Going a step back, if SaaS is an identity problem, the only way SaaS applications and user identities communicate is email. And it lets
Right.
us, we use NLP today in order to find emails that are sent or that are robot generated from SaaS applications, sent automatically to the user, analyze their context, and find the applications. The advantages are immense when you compare it to what enterprises had before. Before, you need to, place a proxy and wait. It can
Yeah.
break the networking of the organization, but you need to wait for them to go to the app. With Grip, you deploy it once, that's 16 clicks on Office 65, and we can go back 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, depending on what the organization wants, immediately giving you the visibility, not only to what people are using now, but what they created access to before. And that's, again,
Yeah.
including past employees that have already left. We can find new things no matter where they're created. And we have this amazing context that lets us differentiate between business and private.
Mhm.
So, for example, if someone receives invoices, we can know that we know who's paying the bill for the application. You cannot know that if you just monitor traffic on the network.
Right,
Um,
right.
and I think
Yeah.
maybe the most important thing about it is that visibility is not enough in order to provide an enterprise solution. You need actionability on top of that. And the
You know that,
way we
yeah.
gain visibility lets us take actions as well.
You know that I love that. So what I thought was so cool in the platform is, obviously the discovery is super cool, but this idea that you can affect policy, like a password change policy, and you can roll that down to all these SaaS applications that are so loosely tied to the company, but they're tied to the company, where you can even offboard employees. Like what incredible use cases that are so sorely missed, especially in large enterprises. I got to imagine the first time you turn this on in a big company, and you and your co-founders are sitting there to see if this works. That had to be this incredible feeling to see that data and that power to help in that way.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing to see in the works. In the back end, when you debug it, there's a GIF that shows you the flow and how the process works, and it's really cool to watch. I think a nice story around it, because we use password rotation sequences for offboarding. It's one of the things that we do. Um, and originally, when we built the feature, we had a Slack channel internally that would send us a message every time a customer used the feature. So
Oh,
every few
interesting.
days, they
Yeah,
would be like, "Oh, there's a new message," and we track the success of the offboarding
yeah,
flow, etc.
that's
And
super cool.
yeah, but now I'm getting like 200 a day, 200,
That's
and every day my phone buzzes nonstop just because I'm emotionally attached to this channel. Uh,
it's a
but
great way. It's a great way to know if a feature is taken off, right? You're just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
is
yeah.
anybody using
We
this?
cannot monitor every singular
Right.
chat anymore.
Are there I keyed in on the sort of use cases that I see sort of important to policy every day in these large companies. Are there other use cases that you've seen that you're super excited about, or sort of more nichey than sort of password resets and offboarding?
Yeah. So offboarding is an important piece just because we were thinking about how we push our users out of the system, not into the system, but the other
Yeah,
way around. How we can make sure they know they receive value, even if they don't log into the platform,
yeah.
which works really well with all of our automation. So Grip is highly integratable. We integrate with over 25 security vendors, and we push policy to them because we don't want to create another dashboard that the customers needs to log into.
Yeah.
Saying that, there's things that you can only achieve using Grip and need the deep context of what we find in order to do so, whether it's automatically knowing who's the business owner of an application, it's
Mhm.
automatically prioritizing your SSO program so you know gaps within your SSO posture. Um, Whether it's finding shadow tenants of known applications. So if you have AWS or Salesforce and someone within the
Yeah.
business creates an insecure tenants of the same app, it's impossible to distinguish it on the network level using a proxy,
Yeah.
so both of them on Salesforce.com. But using Grip, we gain the visibility into tenanting within those, and that ties into the last thing, which is saving money for our customers.
Yeah.
Shadow tenants that you discover usually enable you to consolidate licensing into a single account. And
Right.
we
Yeah.
have customers that saved over $1 million just on this.
Right.
Um,
And it's like 20 different SaaS accounts across 100,000 employees for the same thing, and it makes
exactly.
no sense. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And
because we're tied in so strong to identity, we have the ability to show inactive licenses that you're paying for but are underutilized by the user. So kind of
right.
don't use it, you lose it kind of policy.
I gotta imagine that not only does well, especially the highly regulated companies absolutely need this, but I gotta imagine that the labor that they're putting in before going to grip to try to get to the same answers for a governance review or not an attestation. It has to be insane the amount of time you would save those folks from trying to do the thing you mentioned, maybe like proxies and other routes to try and gather that intel. That has to be pretty wild.
Yeah, we had accounts. So one of our smallest accounts today, before we met them, they spent a month building an Excel sheet of about 30 users that were about to be offboarded, and all
Okay.
of the SaaS applications that they have. Like this huge Excel they spent a month working on, and they showed us the Excel on the first call when we did the demo,
Yeah.
and I remember saying like, is this what you want? Sharing the screen to the Grip dashboard? The,
Yeah.
we lean in like this. They're like, yep, this is what we needed.
You're done. Yeah.
How much time does it take you? Oh, 15 minutes? Yeah, this is what we need.
Amazing. Amazing. So where does the platform go from here?
Yep, it's a great question. So as you said in the beginning, we raised $41 million. It was 3 weeks ago, totaling in $66 million raised for the company. Um, we've in those last 3 weeks, we've grown the company like 15%. We've hired um, over 15 people.
Wow.
So the pace is really quick.
That's great.
I want to grow the company and grow the platform. We as a player within the SaaS security market needs to become bigger.
Yeah.
And my goal is to add more feature, more capabilities, and help bigger and bigger customers, and also smaller and smaller customers to
Yeah.
build their SaaS estates. So SaaS identity risk management is a growing topic, and you know, luckily for us, we're not the only ones in the space. We have great competitors and bad competitors, depending on
Yeah.
who's listening to this podcast. Out of this group, but um, we have a lot of other companies we can learn from and grow this space together, because I think SaaS is inevitable. It's pretty obvious that every company is going to use SaaS as their operation system in
Yeah.
0 to
Absolutely.
5 years.
Oh, I completely agree. I love what you guys are doing. Congrats on the success so far. And yeah, excited to see more of Grip Security in the companies we work with. And yeah, Lior, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you for getting me here. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk soon. Take care.
Bye.